On this Wednesday night, Israel's army ready to enter Rafah. A long-promised ground assault, which the U.S. had warned is a mistake, appears imminent.
There is a different way to go about dealing with the Hamas threat in Rafah.
Plus, what is Israel's plan to protect more than 1 million displaced Palestinians?
Clearly, some of them are dying of hunger.
TikTok turbulence, the Chinese-owned social media giants vow to fight a U.S. ban. How will Canada respond? Springtime flames sweeping new fire bans as early wildfires force evacuations in Western Canada.
Conditions remain very dry.
Plus, runaway horses. Mayhem in central London after military horses get spooked and break loose.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Israel's army says it is now fully prepared to launch a ground operation into Rafah, the only city in Gaza it has not yet raided. It claims Rafah is the last Hamas bastion. It is also an overcrowded city where over 1 million Palestinian civilians have taken refuge after Israel's siege forced them from their homes further north. And now satellite images show what look like 2 tent encampments nearby. Just over 2 weeks ago, large areas of the land were empty next to Rafah and Han Yunis. Now, rows of white tents are visible. Earlier this month, Israeli media reported the IDF ordered 40,000 tents for a mass evacuation of Rafah. The U.S. has told Israel again today it needs a credible, well-thought-out plan to deal with the humanitarian needs of civilians in Gaza. As temperatures soar, trying to survive there is getting even more difficult. Mike Armstrong has our top story tonight.
This day is an anniversary not missed by Gazans. When the conflict began, few thought it could drag on this long. Today we have been in war for 200 days, this man says. We thought it could last a week, 10 days, or at most a month. Well, UN officials predict within 6 weeks the situation in Gaza will officially be classified a famine. Many can't meet even the most basic food needs.
They are most of the time destitute, and clearly some of them are dying of hunger.
Now, under that strain, there may be more coming. The reports the Israeli government is moving ahead with a ground operation into crowded southern Gaza. The plan would be to enter Rafah to go after Hamas holdouts. The U.S. says it won't support a ground operation unless Israel can lay out how it won't make a humanitarian crisis even worse.
There needs to be a serious, credible plan when it comes to how to deal with some of the very pressing humanitarian challenges.
Now, Israel's operation appears to be in motion already. Satellite images show areas that were vacant now have hundreds of tents. The idea would be to move civilians out of Rafah before soldiers go in. Each tent could house 10 to 12 people. Well, the relative calm in Rafah compared to the north has been broken in recent days by Israeli bombing, enough that some are considering moving back to the north. After one attack this week, this baby was delivered by C-section. Her mother was 30 weeks pregnant and was killed, as was her father and 3-year-old sister. The baby was lifeless at first, but doctors were able to get her to breathe. She was moved to a hospital with a working incubator and was visited by family. But her uncle says he doesn't know if he should be happy she survived. Life right now is that difficult. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
Hamas has released a video of an Israeli-American man taken hostage on October 7th. We are only showing stills from it. For his parents, it is the first sign in 201 days that he's alive. It's not clear when the video of 23-year-old Hirsch Goldberg Poland was shot. He is live, but missing part of his arm. He was abducted from the Nova Music Festival. His parents say they're relieved and overwhelmed to see him, and they made this plea to Israel and Hamas.
Be brave, lean in, seize this moment, and get a deal done to reunite all of us with our loved ones and to end the suffering in this region.
Long-standing anger towards the Israeli government erupted outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's residence in Jerusalem tonight. Hundreds of people, including families of hostages, are furious. The Israeli army has failed to bring the remaining hostages home and say time is rapidly running out for those who are still alive. Frustration with Israel's assault on Gaza keeps building on some American university campuses. Students are demanding their schools cut ties with or reveal their involvement with companies that do business with Israel or are profiting off the war in Gaza. In Austin, Texas, police in riot gear were called in to break up a protest at the University of Texas. Several people there were arrested. Scuffles also broke out between protesters and campus police at the University of Southern California after students were ordered to dismantle an encampment. Anger there has grown after a Muslim student's planned commencement speech was canceled. There are big protests in New York City, too. Columbia University has just extended a deadline for protesters camped on its grounds to leave. Last week, more than 100 people were arrested and charged with trespassing. Most of those taking part are peaceful and believe their right to protest is being suppressed. Neetu Garcha has been watching the campus protests in New York.
Said, save the babies!
Save the babies!
The babies of Gaza!
Protesters gathered outside Columbia University Wednesday morning, their voices echoing demands for justice the morning after activists overtook the campus, protesting what they say were threats from the university to bring in the National Guard. Since then, a university spokesperson said the initial midnight deadline to dismantle the pro-Palestinian encampment and bring order back to the campus has been extended by 48 hours. Activist Caroline Daisy traveled from Baltimore to support the movement.
What I've seen and from the friends that I do have on campus, there are plenty of Jewish anti-Zionist protesters on this campus who are peacefully in prayer alongside with other Muslim students.
This Columbia University student telling Global News the demonstrations have gone too far.
I have many friends and fellow students who are Jewish, and they are afraid to walk home alone. They have to escort each other publicly.
Free, free, free Palestine!
As campuses across the country are trying to balance free speech with safety concerns, UT Austin, UCLA, and Johns Hopkins are among the latest elite schools to become pro-Palestinian protest grounds.
No peace on stolen land!
At New York University, where the NYPD was called in to clear the area late Monday, resulting in more than 130 arrests on charges of disorderly conduct, protests continue.
There's nothing anti-Semitic about standing up for the human rights of people all over the world, especially when international law and humanitarian law is being broken.
And students held a candlelight vigil Tuesday for the lives lost in Gaza.
Professor Sahir Zaghi from Al-Isra University.
This already infamous wall has been put up here at NYU where those mass arrests took place on Monday. The students we heard from say they hope amidst the chaos, a resounding message of unity emerges, underscoring the urgency of standing together for peace and justice, adding unaffiliated individuals with inflammatory rhetoric don't represent the majority. Donna?
Neetu Garcha in New York City tonight. Thanks. The U.S. president has signed into law a sweeping foreign aid package for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. The $95 billion will be divided into $26 billion for Israel, $61 billion for Ukraine, and the rest will go to Indo-Pacific nations to bolster defense against China. Joe Biden calls it a good day for world peace. The first shipment will go to Ukraine today to help replenish its war chest. Buried inside that aid bill is a provision about TikTok. It gives the app's Chinese parent company 9 months to either sell it to an American company or be banned. The concern is TikTok could share data with the Chinese government. As Mackenzie Gray explains, not everyone is ready to log out of the viral video sharing platform.
It's not just dancing and cooking videos. TikTok is now increasingly viewed as a national security threat.
TikTok's parent company is beholden to the Chinese government.
That concern about the info TikTok gathers. Its terms of service says it automatically collects geolocation-related data and browsing history of its users. Info parent company ByteDance would be compelled to share with the Chinese Communist Party under Chinese national security laws. Despite that and Chinese interference in the last two Canadian federal elections, the Prime Minister was coy on if Canada would follow a potential American ban.
We've already taken significant measures on that, and we will continue to do that, but we will act in ways that are right for Canadians.
Those steps include banning TikTok on federal government devices last year, leaving NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, who had nearly 900,000 followers, to dump the app. But he wants back on.
Our party has got back on the platform. And on my personal side, we're making that consideration of how to get back on it in a safe way.
I really didn't think doing body rolls and thirst traps would get me here, but look at this.
It's a tougher choice for former Big Brother Canada contestant Jedson Tavernier, who uses his TikTok account to reach over 250,000 followers.
Brands are dishing out tens of thousands of dollars to creators for making videos that promote their product.
How TikTok algorithms work to help Tavernier and other influencers reach their audience is a closely guarded secret that national security experts warn could be used by the CCP to influence upcoming Canadian elections.
With the amount of data collected on TikTok, that the data could be used in terms of influencing, public opinion in general.
TikTok misusing data isn't just a hypothetical. The company admitted to spying on 2 journalists who wrote critical articles about the app, Donna, leading to 4 TikTok employees being fired.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thanks. The Peguis First Nation in Manitoba has filed a $1 billion claim against the federal and provincial governments and 2 rural municipalities for damage caused by devastating spring floods in 2022.
We need to look after our own interests as a people and as a community. So this is one of the steps we must take to get government to act, because up to this point nothing has been done.
About 500 properties were damaged and hundreds of people are still out of their homes. Peguis is about 200 kilometers north of Winnipeg. According to the First Nation, it has an average of 1 flood every 2 years. The claim says the conversion of forest land into farmland and the draining of wetlands has led to a rise in flooding. It's not even May, and wildfire season has already roared to life in parts of BC and Alberta. An out-of-control blaze burning just southwest of Peace River, Alberta, led to the evacuation of 12 homes and a nearby correctional facility housing over 200 prisoners. Global's Kabi Moulitharan reports on the fire threat that firefighters say is being fueled by carelessness.
Sparked at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, the fire spread quickly through the river valley in the municipal district of Peace. Several homes coming dangerously close to going up in flames.
It's been many, many years since we've had a fire in the valley here, and there's a lot of built up dead grass, dead trees, lots of fuel for fires.
The fire spread close to the Peace Regional Correctional Center, forcing its evacuation. 215 inmates were transported under police escort to safety of nearby facilities. Across Alberta, it's been a fast start to the fire season, with almost all the fires so far human-caused. Burning bans and fire restrictions are already in place for much of the province.
So far this year, we've responded to 205 wildfires in the forest protection area of Alberta that have burned about 755 hectares.
This season has already seen more than 3 times the number of hectares of land that would normally be burned. While cooler temperatures and light rain is in the forecast, it's not enough to make up for a dry spring.
We need significant and continued rain to overcome the drought conditions.
The devastation from last year's wildfire season remains top of mind, ensuring more crews are out this year to tackle the blazes.
The numbers are changing all the time because we're bringing on more trained firefighters each week. We're 39% ahead of last year as far as our hiring numbers.
Back in the Peace region, while no homes were lost.
Had this started 2 kilometers closer to Peace River, it would have been quite a bit more serious.
The precautions becoming more and more crucial in a time of rapidly evolving uncertainty. Kabi Moulitharan, Global News, Edmonton.
The U.S. has confirmed it quietly sent long-range missiles to Ukraine last week, and Ukraine used them to bomb a Russian airfield in Crimea and another Russian-occupied area. The ballistic missiles give Ukraine nearly double the striking distance, up to 300 kilometers. The White House says now that a new military aid package has been signed, more will be sent. And today, Ukraine launched a long-range drone attack targeting oil depots in southwestern Russia. At least 2 facilities burst into flames. There are no casualties reported. In Ukraine, at least 6 people were injured when Russian missiles struck several buildings and a gas line in Kharkiv. It was the 3rd strike on this bar since the full-scale war began. The owner says she plans to rebuild again. Galloping chaos in central London. Coming up, the injuries, the damage after cavalry horses break loose in the British capital. There are lots of things to see in London, but this was extraordinary. Military horses galloping through the streets. They broke loose during a routine training exercise, apparently spooked by a loud noise from a construction site. 4 people were injured, including some of the riders who were thrown from those horses. These are among the best trained horses in the world. They're used to London noise and traffic. Redmond Shannon reports on how it all unfolded, and a warning some viewers may find images in the story upsetting.
Blood-smeared horses galloping through central London, an almost apocalyptic scene, only without the horsemen. One animal narrowly missing a cyclist, another bouncing off a black cab as pedestrians try to get out of the way.
The equine commotion began here, not far from Buckingham Palace. The British Army's Household Cavalry Regiment was practicing ahead of the King's official birthday celebrations in June, when loud construction noise spooked several horses, throwing 4 soldiers to the ground.
It must have been quite a noise.
Duke of Edinburgh, Colonel of the Grenadier Guards.
These horses are renowned for staying calm. Gunfire at Queen Elizabeth's birthday parade in 1981 only caused a minor disturbance among the highly trained steeds. But on Wednesday, the horses were so upset, some ploughed straight into a taxi and a tourist bus.
Oh my God.
Smashing its windscreen. Their shoe scrapes marking the road. One decided to stop, passers-by tending to the injured and confused horse, while some of the others kept on going.
When we saw them at the top of the road, I mean, it was more than a gallop. I mean, they were really sprinting down the road.
Press photographer Jordan Pettit could barely believe what he was capturing.
I threw the camera off my neck and got a few shots. I think it was surreal.
Stopping spooked horses in a megacity is no easy task. London's fire brigade used drones to help find them.
Police officers eventually captured the last 2 horses here, around 8 kilometres from the original incident.
3 of the soldiers were treated in hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The 4th injured person is believed to have been a cyclist. The horses are all receiving veterinary care back at their barracks. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Athens turns orange ahead, eerie skies over the capital of Greece. NASA has unveiled a remarkable discovery made by its Juno mission to Jupiter. This animation was created from 2 very close flybys of one of Jupiter's moons. It shows a giant lava lake discovered on the moon's surface. It's 200 kilometers long and surrounds a large island. The moon of Jupiter was known to be volcanically active, but new research suggests it's been spewing lava for more than 4 billion years. And a dramatic orange haze has descended over the Greek city of Athens. It's caused by clouds of dust that are blowing in from the Sahara Desert in North Africa. Health authorities are urging people in Athens with respiratory issues to avoid outdoor activity and keep their windows and doors closed. Relief is coming. The sky has already begun to clear. Next, Banff's creative way to cut down on single-use waste. The coffee giant Tim Hortons is testing new recyclable beverage lids for its hot beverages. They're being tried out in select locations in Ottawa and Gatineau. The lids are made of fiber instead of plastic. And a tourist hotspot in Alberta is also hoping its new eco-friendly program will catch on. It's called Banff Borrows, and it works much like a library. Instead of getting your drink in a disposable cup, you can borrow a reusable one. The goal is to keep thousands of single-use plastics out of the landfill. Heather Yurix West reports on the drive to change consumer habits.
A coffee and a stroll around Banff in the sunshine. It's a simple pleasure, but it adds up to 1,000 cups being tossed every day.
We're trying to eliminate as much single-use items within the town of Banff as we can.
It's why this year tourists and residents can try something new, taking their lattes away in a reusable cup made available to use for free.
I think it's a really great idea, especially for the Banff community.
I would say it's a good step in just helping with our environment and everything. So yeah, I would use it.
With the use of an app and a QR code, the cups are lent out for up to 30 days.
They can either drop it off here or one of the various locations in downtown.
Keep the cup for longer, your credit card is charged. A simple concept that a growing number of borrowing-based businesses hope will catch on. Launched in 2020, the Ontario-based company Friendlier partners with restaurants and stores to offer reusable takeout containers, a refundable digital deposit required.
We knew that we wanted to change the way that Canadians and North Americans consume products. So we dreamt up a world where there is no packaging waste, where things can be reused over and over again. And that became Friendlier.
Now operating across Ontario, Montreal, and Vancouver, Friendlier is growing. But as a sector, borrowing has yet to boom.
Consumer education is definitely a really big piece of it. I think a big challenge for everybody right now is kind of learning the why. Single-use plastics are a large contaminant for the environment, for marine life. Microplastics are hugely harmful to human health.
Banff Tourism is hopeful the busy summer season will help its borrowing program take off, changing habits while keeping thousands of cups and lids from the trash. Heather Yurex West, Global News, Banff, Alberta.
And that's Global National for this Wednesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is back in Banff, the Bow River there. We'd love to see Your Canada. Please email it to viewers@globalnational.com. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.